back to Unfiltered and Unbound. My name is Kate and I'm your host. Today I want to start with a question. How many times this week have you said yes to something when you actually meant no? Maybe it was taking on that extra task at work. Maybe it was agreeing to attend something you had zero energy for. Or maybe it was just not speaking up when you actually wanted to. We do it constantly, and most of the time we feel guilty even taking a different approach. Today we're going to be talking about why and what to do about it. This is the art of saying no without the guilt. So let's start with the science, because this is actually really interesting. The difficulty that women have saying no is not a personality flaw, and it's not us being weak or spineless or too nice. It's actually our nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now, you've probably heard of fight or flight, the two survival responses that we learn about in school. But there are actually four: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, as in FAWN. Fawning is when we appease, agree, and keep the peace to stay safe. And for a lot of us, particularly women, that fawn response gets activated really early. If saying yes kept a parent calm or it meant keeping people happy, if disagreeing meant conflict or rejection, then your nervous system learned that agreement equals safety. As adults, that shows up as compulsive over agreeing, even when there's no real threat, even when the only thing at stake is someone else's disappointment. Now, here's the interesting thing about guilt. Researchers actually distinguish between two kinds. True guilt, so when you've genuinely acted against your own values, and false guilt, and that's when you fear someone else's disapproval. So when you say no to something that you didn't want to do, and then you spend the next 3 days ruminating and freaking out about it, that is almost always false guilt. The feeling that you've done something wrong even when you haven't. You haven't betrayed anyone, you've just disappointed them. And those two things are not the same. Now, here's why this affects women particularly, because it's not just individual psychology. It's cultural, it's structural, and it starts young. From girlhood, we are taught explicitly and implicitly that our value is tied to how comfortable we make others feel. Boys are encouraged towards independence and assertiveness, and girls are steered towards harmony, care, and keeping the group happy. We're told we're bossy when we lead, too much when we take up space, difficult when we push back. And the message underneath all of it is, make sure that everyone else is okay first. And there's even a biological dimension here. UCLA researcher Dr. Shelley Taylor found that women have a stress response beyond fight or flight. She called it tend and befriend. So under pressure, women are wired to nurture and seek connection, which is fantastic in many ways. But it also means saying no can feel physically threatening, like it goes against something deep within our survival system. So let's name the double standard, because when men are assertive, they're respected. And when women decline, we risk being called cold, difficult, selfish, or a bitch. And research backs this up. Women who display assertiveness often face what's called the likability backlash, where being competent and boundaries actually hurts how we're perceived. No wonder we're exhausted with it all. All right, so we know why this is hard. Now let's talk about how to actually change it. And I want to start with mindset, because the language comes easier when you've shifted how you think about the word no. So here are 4 reframes that I come back to constantly. Reframe number 1. Saying no to them is a yes to yourself. So every no you say is protecting space for a genuine yes. Now, what I mean by that is a yes that's coming from a place of depletion or resentment or out of obligation is not kindness. It's a lie with a smile on it. And you're not actually going to give them your best. You're giving them your leftovers. So in this instance, the no is the honest thing. Reframe number 2. Sometimes saying no is the most empathetic choice. Now, what do I mean by that? When you say yes to something that you don't have capacity for, you show up with resentment. You show up with half a heart and with part of you already counting down to when it's over. So saying no gives someone else the opportunity to step in and give a true wholehearted yes. That's not unkind. That's actually being generous. Reframe number 3. The catastrophe that you're imagining almost never happens. We spend so much time predicting the worst. I'll be furious, the friendship will be damaged, I'll look selfish. But research tells us that simple acceptance is actually the most common response when someone hears a no. It's not rage, it's not devastation. Most people will adjust. The catastrophe lives almost entirely in your head. And reframe number 4. If they value you, they'll value your boundaries. So people who genuinely care about you will adjust when you say no. They will be okay. They'll figure it out. Those who can't tolerate the no were only comfortable with your unlimited yes. Well, that was never a real relationship. Think of the no as a filter, and what it filters in is what's actually real. Okay, so here's where we get practical. We know that mindset is everything, but sometimes you also just need words. So here are some scripts, phrases, and tools that you can actually use. Now, there's no long explanations required, and there's absolutely no over-apologising. But first, let's do a tiny language swap that makes a huge difference. And this comes from research from 2012 that found that saying I don't instead of I can't is far more effective at declining things. I can't sounds like you're being blocked by something external, whereas I don't sounds like identity. It's like a choice. It's much harder to argue with. So instead of I can't take on more projects right now, try I don't take on extra projects outside of work hours. Feel the difference? One sounds like an apology and the other sounds like a person who knows themselves. Second, if you want to buy yourself some time, you are allowed to not answer in the moment. So let me check and get back to you is one of the most underused phrases in the English language. It buys you time to check in with yourself and your calendar, not your guilt, not your fear, but your actual capacity. And finally, here are some phrases, and these are word for word, that you can keep in your back pocket for future reference. First one relates to work capacity. I'm at capacity right now. I can't take that on and do it justice. This second one is a simple way to decline. That doesn't work for me. The third one is validating the no. I love that you thought of me for this. I am not the right person right now. If someone pushes back on you, I understand this isn't what you hope to hear. My answer is still no. And if someone offers you unsolicited advice, I appreciate that you care. I'd prefer to only discuss this when I specifically ask. Notice what's not in any of those phrases. A long explanation, there's no apology, there's no I'm sorry, but you don't owe anyone a novel-length justification. A clear, warm no will suffice. Now, before I go, I want to leave you with an invitation rather than some homework. This week, I invite you to say just one no. Not a huge confrontational boundary setting moment here. Just one small, honest no. Say no to the extra task. Say no to the plan you said yes to previously out of guilt. Say no to the question that you would normally deflect with, "Oh, I don't mind." And then notice what that makes room for. Because here's the thing about no. It's not a wall, it's a door. It closes something and it opens something else. Something that is actually, genuinely yours. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love it if you could leave a review and share it with someone who you think needs to hear this. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. And I will chat to you next week.